Hey, and welcome to Dating Dames. I'm Jackie, and this is my lovely co-host, Michelle. And whether you're newly single, divorced, or simply open to the possibility of love once again, you're in the right place because here at Dating Dames, we believe it's not about him, it's about you. And today we are going to talk about a great episode. We've got something fantastic lined up. It's about all those good dates, the bad dates, the kind of odd dates that people don't speak about enough. And what we're trying to do is simply normalize it because when you go on your dating journey, you start realizing that the most romantic dates and the worst freaking dates that you think, have I landed up in the wrong place? Is everybody going absolutely mad? These things will happen, whether it's being unmatched, whether it's being ghosted, whether it's been not even given any reason. These things will happen. And the secret is really not over analyzing it, not over intellectualizing it, just letting it go and having fun along the way. Welcome, Michelle. How are you doing?
Great. You're yes, all these ideas and all these different experiences. I mean, for me, I always think about them as just the normal twists and turns of any new
Yes.
adventure. If you take a new path, you decide to go for a hike and you miss a sign or two along the way,
Mm.
you might end up in a place you didn't expect. And usually,
Absolutely.
hopefully, you can turn around, come back, regroup and reconsider, but consider it, again, a learning. Pay attention to the signs next time.
And so we'll share some of our dating experiences with our listeners so that they're really aware that when they too experience this, it's not out of the realm of what dating is all about because there will be bumps, there will be obstacles, there will be some highs, there will be lows, there will be the in-betweeners as well. And I want you to share some of your highs with us first, and then I'll share some of my most bizarre experiences.
Okay, good. You gave me the really nice one to
Oh yeah,
share.
you get the fire today.
So I have shared with Jackie, and now we'll share with all of you, that
Yes,
technically this was my first official date. It was not
yes.
my first date from an app, which came afterwards, but this was somebody I met in real life. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
And
I know.
and we ended up kind of hitting it off. We were in a big group and we hit it off. It was a fun day. I was out with a running group friend, with some friends. And, I felt a connection with this person. And he's lovely. He's, let me just say, from South America, living in Asia.
That's your lover.
And at the end of the evening, which, had lots of fun and silliness with a big group of people, he said, "Hey, I'd really like to meet up again."
Yeah.
And I was just visiting where he lives. And so we did manage to get together and we had one of these dates that started at like 7:30 and finished around 2 a.m.
Oh gosh.
And all in public locations. And it was just so amazing. But the part that I think both Jackie and I really enjoyed experiencing together, because you were there with me on that journey,
Yeah.
was what happened after. And as
Mm.
a new dater, after 30 years in a relationship, this was the first time I had suddenly found myself in a texting conversation with
Mm.
someone I had a romantic interest in.
Mm.
And the whole way that he engaged was amazing to me. He would send me lovely, "Good morning, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Thinking about you, middle of the
Mm.
day, lunchtime, headed to lunch, thinking about you.
Mm.
Here's a video of me on my way to work and just chatting in the morning." Him saying, "Oh, I love your smile, you're so
Mm.
beautiful." And not only did I receive these, which at first it felt like kind of like, oh, I'm a little embarrassed. I've never received these
Yeah.
kind of text messages before.
Mm.
But over time, what it taught me, what I learned was a comfort to send them back and to
Mm.
enjoy that whole just kind of being almost enraptured in this. I mean, God, the miles of text conversations we had
Mm.
over multiple months.
Mm.
And it just that built an intimacy that I didn't know was possible. Part of it was just the texting, was just the constant conversation, but it was
Yeah.
how he engaged. It made me feel so warm, so alive, so cared for. I mean, it was amazing.
There was something else that he gave you, and I think a lot of our listeners, especially when you've been in a relationship for such a long period of time, and you kind of just, you start off, you're young, you start off, you date, you get married, you have kids, you have the house, and suddenly your roles start changing, and you're no longer just man and woman, but you're parents, you have a professional life, and then you're managing a like a little business called a family, and something changes, and bearing in mind, like I said, when you've been married for a long period of time, some of us forget about that feminine side of our.
God,
And
yes,
for me, one of the most beautiful things he gave you was that eliciting that incredible feminine side, the frivolity, the playfulness,
absolutely.
which when you've been with somebody for 30 plus years, it tends to diminish. And he
Well,
reignited that spark.
well,
That
and
was
what I
beautiful.
was going to say was that in some ways, I think he found something that had been buried not only through the marriage, but through many,
Mm,
many other things, right? I mean, and as we said, you know, when you're in the corporate world or you're COO of a family or whatever you're
mm.
doing, you tend to lose that sense of, you know, I'm a woman, I am due pleasure. There is so much joy, the energy you get from that. And you forget when you're busy with managing these things and you have to kind of push things aside and make space for the, you know, just the, I don't know, the daily routines, the daily
Yes,
to-do lists. You lose a
absolutely.
sense of yourself. And I would say that, you know, kind of the point we've made a few times is when you, many of us typically get together with our partners in our 20s. At that stage, it's all just kind of like all your hormones and who you are is all sort of jumbled
Yeah,
up. You're having fun
absolutely.
dating, but
Yeah.
you don't necessarily have a sense of yourself maybe as a woman
Mm.
so clearly. And so your sense isn't clear. And then you spend 20 or 30 years pushing it
Together.
aside.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then suddenly someone like, you know, gives you a few really heartfelt, not just sort of throwaway compliments over
Yeah,
months
yeah.
repeatedly. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is what it feels like. This is amazing.
Mm. I know, and it does feel beautiful. And even now, you're like glowing just talking about, which is my
Unfortunately, it didn't work out for a long-term relationship, but
that's
it
okay.
was, I mean, I did see him again, as you know,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
made a trip and we had a lovely another week together.
Mm.
And I won't go into the reasons that it didn't
No, we don't.
continue, but it also proved to me that in that sense, so much of it was real. It wasn't just talk. It wasn't a one date, you know, dinner and drinks kind of connection. It
Yeah.
lasted. And then even when we reconnected in person, it was just as lovely.
Mm.
And so it gives you confidence.
It does. I think one of the most, I root for this man, this Latino.
Still.
To me, one of the most beautiful things he gave you was tapping into this frivolous side of Michelle and this play and this different type of energy, this
Mhm.
feminine, which had not been experienced or had not come to the fore before. And to me, that was a massive gift that he handed to you on a silver platter. And now it's one of those things that you will never, ever want to live without.
No, I
So,
totally agree. It was amazing.
me, on the other hand, I did not have that beautiful experience. I
So
had
yes,
something.
Jackie, tell us some of your more
Oh,
crazy experiences.
yes, yes, that is exactly what it was. Totally, totally crazy. So I met a man living in the same city that I'm currently living in, and it was really
Met
interesting.
online.
Yeah, matched online with a man on Tinder. Really interesting person, good looking in the photos, dark hair, beautiful suntan, petrochemical engineer, really fascinating person. But um, I could never pin down time to meet. Always offshore,
Mm,
which and um but quite quickly, the conversation moved to, I don't really enjoy being in the city during the summer in this city. How about you and I go away to another city? And how about we go to Dubai? And I said, oh, I love Dubai. Yeah, exactly. I love Dubai. I've lived there before. So it's another Me Too moment. We can talk about it.
yeah.
And I kept saying, but let's meet for lunch. I want you to know I'm not the type of woman. I'm quite well traveled. I'm not the type of woman that gets super excited when somebody says, "Hey, I'd like to take you away." This doesn't blow up my skirt at all. And he kept saying to me, "Oh, Jackie, I'm a bit worried about our relationship. I don't think you're investing enough. I don't get enough good morning messages from you. I don't get enough good night messages from you." And I was thinking, we don't know each other. We
I
are a
mean,
couple.
this was over weeks, or how long did this go on for?
Yeah,
I
I was
forget.
this line for at least 3 weeks. And I kept saying, and then eventually I said, you know what, I don't think this is going anywhere. And he got quite upset with me. I was taken aback. And I thought,
You haven't committed to this
no,
relationship with a
that's right.
guy who doesn't want to meet you before you go
Absolutely.
to Dubai together.
Exactly. So that was kind of one of my crazy moments. And then I had another one. And, I remember calling Michelle and saying, oh my God, have I got off the wrong train station? Like, did I land up in Crazyville? What is going on? And I have this thing where I believe good things and bad things comes in threes. So I had two more after it. And I'm guy, as you know, I'm a dating coach, and he was interested in coaching. And he met me in the city, and quite quickly it moved from, let's talk about coaching, how you got into it, the benefits. It's something he wanted to explore in his role as an IT consultant. That quite quickly it moved to very, very physical intimacy. And I was like, No, 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 this is not happening. And it was what was interesting is at that point, and we've spoken about this already, it's all good and well to say, these are my boundaries. These are the values that I hold myself accountable to. But in fact, saying it and
Mm,
implementing it, two very different things. And
yep.
so I very awkward position whereby I did allow things to progress a bit more than they should have, and then quickly retrieved, decided this is not for me, quickly retrieved, got up, left.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh my good Lord, what is going on now? You know, why are all these bad things happening at this point in time? And it's just the point that we wanted to make is that there will be the beautiful romantic dates like Michelle experienced, and then there will be the real bizarre ones like I did. And you should not, do not read into it. Do not make more of it. Take it for what it is. It's a lesson to be learned. It's a learning, it's an observation. And when you look at dating in that vein, suddenly it's not dramatized to
Mm.
worst experience ever, but more like, "Oh my god, this is something to laugh about," you know?
Well, and it can be to laugh, and I've
Yes.
shared with you a particular experience that I won't go into now,
Mm,
that actually really kind of pulled me up short. And I realized after the fact, I was just kind of in a bit of a state because I realized I'd put myself in a situation that could
yes.
have been dangerous.
Mm,
And I also got kind of carried away. We'd had an amazing first date, which, we had an amazing kiss goodbye. And I thought, ooh, this is amazing. We've had this
mm.
6 hour conversation, and now it's like this amazing kiss. Yes, I would like more of that, please. The
Yes,
second
please.
date went a bit off the rails. And I
Mm,
realized after the fact that I thought, ooh, I really got carried away. And the reason I bring this up is because, I mean, like for a day or two, I was really quite shaken because I thought,
mm,
I put myself in a very potentially compromising position that could have been very
mm,
dangerous.
mm.
And I need to just pause for a moment, reflect on that experience. It didn't stop me dating because that was what, like already 6, 7 months ago. I've
Oh,
had many
yeah,
dates
that's
since
right.
then,
Yeah.
but it definitely made me think, okay, construction sign, big red flashing light, whatever you want to think of.
Mhm.
Slow down, stop, and just think about what happened there and why you found yourself in that role or that position and what you would do to not repeat it and those
Absolutely.
kinds of things. I mean, and I think you also had like another very unexpected situation where you ended up with someone who it was a nice date, I think, at the beginning,
It
and
was
then it kind of
fun,
went really weird.
and it went really weird really quickly, and I had to pick myself up, extract myself from that situation, and just walk right out. And that's exactly what I did. And despite the fact that it may have bruised his ego, at
Because
that
if
point,
I remember, can I say
of
he
course.
was a bit undressed at that moment when you left. Fully undressed, I believe.
He was, yes, that's and at that point, I decided it is time to leave. This is not for me. This is not who I am. And this is
Well,
compromising my
and
values.
frankly, his behavior, as I recall, was a bit
Questionable, slightly.
questionable, which and maybe he even regretted it. Maybe he even sent an apology
Yes,
later.
he did. He sent me
But
an apology afterward and said, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done that. And I said, yes. And now it's time for us to part
yeah.
politely.
And that's good because again, as you said, following through on that boundary, even though you found yourself in this kind of rather compromised position,
Yeah.
he's already the potential is to bruise his ego by saying no. And all of that talk, all that social pressure about don't lead a guy on, don't get to a particular
Yes.
point. It's really unfair. But at some point, you were able to remember your boundary, remember and just look
Yes.
at the situation for what it was and say,
Yeah.
no, not this.
No, 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 this is not for me. I've made some notes here because I didn't want to miss out on any of it. And it was, what is some of the learnings that we've had? And it was,
Mhm.
I think, things like, don't make it more than what it is or less than what
Yeah.
it is. Just accept it for what it currently is at this very point in time. And I think that's quite important because it's so easy, and both ways, it's so easy to read into it and overanalyze and possibly ruminate and then go back
Mhm.
key about dating that we've always been pro is that it can be an adventure. It can be a means of building your confidence and your energy and rediscovering yourself, and never ever dating from a place of desperation. Not at all, because we're
No,
no
no.
waiting to be picked. We get to do the picking, and that's really exciting. Permitting yourself to laugh, laughing with a
Even now,
friend, but
with all our
even now
friends.
friends about how ridiculous the situation was and that we were able to extract ourselves out of it. This is this makes for a magical moment. And it reminds me of when we were younger in our 20s and we'd have a good laugh with our girlfriends about a date that went horribly wrong, but we'd ooh and ah about a date that went incredibly well. And I think the secret is learn, observe, take the value, extract the value. This is massive to me. I know for you, it's all about having the adventure, practice, discover yourself, discover parts of yourself you didn't know. And this is really key. Anything you'd
Yeah.
like to add?
Yeah, I think again, we've made this point a few times about again, you said build the confidence. You have the
Mm,
courage to go out there to face an unknown situation.
yeah,
Each date, every date is an
is an
unknown
mm,
situation. You
absolutely.
try to control as much as you can. You take care of yourself. You choose a nice
Mm,
location. You
mm,
think through it. You try to do your research. Maybe you had your conversations online or through video, or you do as much as you
mm,
can. But ultimately, in the moment, you're going to have to just see what happens,
mm,
trust that you're going to be able to handle whatever happens, for good, for
absolutely.
strange, for bad.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and through that, you show courage, you build confidence, and you'll be
Yes.
ready for more the next time. And you can laugh with your friends about whatever
Exactly.
happened.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I absolutely love, and this is probably a phrase that Tony Robbins coined, which is stack the wins, stack the wins, keep
Oh, the
building
wins. Yeah. Yeah.
confidence. And before you know it, you see yourself in a very different light. You're almost the woman that you admire, that you desire to go out with. And you recognize that you are the prize in this entire game because your self-worth, your dignity, your pride for yourself, who you're becoming on this journey
Mm.
post-divorce in your 40s, 50s, and beyond changes massively. If any of this has oh, you wanted to say something.
I wanted to give one more little hint. I was thinking,
Yes.
yeah, check, the whole idea about if it's a bad date, there might
Mm,
be a tendency to kind of to say, blame yourself. Did I
mm,
miss something? Was there a
mm,
red flag? And it's possible that you did. It's possible
mm.
that he said some things, did some
Of
things,
course.
whatever it was ahead of time that maybe you
Mm,
should have paid more attention to.
yeah.
But again, you don't really know if it's a red flag until you sort of, see it in action. So there, on one hand, you should definitely kind of review, like I said, in my situation, what do I not want to repeat? What
Mm,
situation am I going to avoid putting myself into? On the other hand, it could be that you did everything right. It could be
yes.
that there were no signs ahead of time. It could be that he was having a bad day, your energies just didn't match. The bad
Mm,
date may be nothing more than just bad luck in that
that
situation.
day.
And
Absolutely.
still,
Absolutely.
it was practice.
100% because you were able to seek the value out of it. And this is great. And I think this is quite important. That's why we enjoy having our dating buddies by our side because we get to share these experiences and we get to normalize these experiences. So you're not taking it upon yourself, ruminating and thinking, oh my God, it's because of me. Maybe I did something wrong. No, 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 not at all. This is why we wanted to kind of go behind the curtain and share some of our more personal stories with
Normalize. Yeah.
you. And so if this episode has resonated with you, then please to share it. Share it with a friend, share it with a family member, and help us build our community of dating dames.
And if you're looking for guidance or just some more anecdotes, come find us on Facebook or Instagram at Dating Dames V2.
And until next time, keep remembering to trust your instincts, embrace the adventure, and more importantly, it's not about him, it's about you.